What was life like for a medieval peasant? Harsh judicial system, high taxes, dark and cold houses. These are all images that come to mind when thinking about the life of a medieval peasant. So, with this kind of life, was there any room for joy and happiness? What were the daily struggles of a medieval peasant? Let's peek into the past to find out. Living in the heart of the medieval era, peasants found themselves in a world governed by the whims of their local lords. Think of self-contained villages, picturesque in their rustic simplicity, yet bearing the weight of the feudal world. Houses, barns, and animal pens huddled together, as if seeking warmth in the middle of vast fields and pastures. Here you'd find different shades of peasantry. Among them, the villains, who'd sworn an oath of loyalty to the local lord, were a unique breed. Their lives were bound by invisible chains. Marrying, moving, and even dreaming required the lord's divine nod. Their loyalty was rewarded with the right to till the lord's lands, but the lord partly claimed the fruits of their labor. Life was a delicate dance on the edge of the sword. A poor harvest was just a step away from starvation. If the grueling work did not grind them down, the squalor of their towns would. Medieval street style included roaming animals and streets stained with human waste, discarded meat, and a potent cocktail of other toxic substances. These unsanitary conditions were a breeding ground for diseases, including the infamous Black Death. To add to the daily struggles, baths were a rare luxury, indulged in only twice in their lifespan, once at birth and once post-mortem. Paying high taxes was a bitter truth for the medieval peasants they couldn't escape. Imagine surrendering a tenth of your hard-earned produce every year to the church. It wasn't a matter of choice or goodwill, but an inescapable duty, a price they had to pay for being peasants in the medieval era. The tithe, though seemingly small at 10%, held the power to make or break a peasant's family. Cash or kind, in the form of seeds or equipment, the tax had to be paid. Its unpopularity was inversely proportional to the enormity of the tithe barns that burgeoned with the collected produce. Some of these barns still stand today, with one notably located in Maidstone, Kent, now home to a collection of carriages. But the tithe was just the beginning. Our peasants also had to toil on church land, gratis. The time that they could have spent tending their own crops was instead spent serving the church. The fear of divine retribution kept them from questioning this rule. Talking about the justice system, it was a maze of local customs and arbitrary rulings, far removed from our modern concept of law and order. There was no organized police force in the medieval period. Instead, law enforcement fell on the shoulders of the locals. Every male over the age of 12 was obligated to join a tithing, a quasi-police force that rose to action at the sound of the hue and cry. Imagine this: you are a victim of a crime. You raise a gut-wrenching cry, a call to arms that echoes through the narrow streets. The villagers drop their work and join in a collective pursuit of the criminal. Minor transgressions were usually dealt with by the local lord. For significant crimes, the situation was pretty hard. A king-appointed judge would make the journey across the country, carrying with him the heavy scales of justice. Now, the most chilling part was the trial by ordeal. If a jury was unable to decide on guilt or innocence, this gruesome test was the decider. The accused were subjected to walking barefoot on smoldering coals, plunging their hand into boiling water to retrieve a stone, or gripping a red-hot iron. Sounds like something out of a nightmare, doesn't it? But here's the twist. If your wounds miraculously healed within 3 days, you were deemed innocent. If not, guilt was proclaimed, and the punishment could be severe. We can only imagine what could be more severe than all this. And then, imagine stepping into the homely abode of our medieval peasant, a single-room marvel of wattle and daub, complete with a thatched roof and a conspicuous absence of windows. Ah, the quaint charm, right? Perhaps not. Inside, you would be greeted by a smoky ambiance, a byproduct of the hearth that breathed warmth into the humble dwelling. Here, a third of the space was reserved for the livestock, who would cohabitate with the family, creating a unique, barnyard-chic living situation. The floor underfoot? A rustic blend of earth and straw, indeed not your plush carpet or shiny hardwood. In this limited space, you'd find the simplicity of peasant furnishings, a smattering of stools, a trunk brimming with bedding, and a humble collection of cooking utensils. But even in this simple existence, the inability to escape the constant companionship of bedbugs, lice, and other critters was a grim reality. And let's not forget the rich aroma filling the air, a potent blend of burning oil, animal fat, and the unique perfume of the livestock. This was the reality of life in a medieval peasant hut, a world within a world, teetering on the delicate balance of survival and struggle. Their women and children also led lives woven with hardship and resilience. Infant mortality was tragically high, with an estimated 50% of newborns falling prey to ailments before celebrating their first birthdays. In this era, classroom education was a pearl reserved for the rich, or those destined for a life cloaked in the robes of monks. For peasant children, the fields and the hearths were their classrooms, their hands groomed to yield harvests and tend to livestock. Apprenticeships with local artisans like blacksmiths or tailors offered an alternate path to acquiring skills. Young girls, their lives mirrored in their mothers, were tutored in the rhythm of domesticity. From spinning wool to weaving warmth into clothes and blankets, to mastering the art of maintaining a household, these tasks became their curriculum. The specter of danger shadowed the women during childbirth, with nearly 20% succumbing to its grasp. Despite this adversity, women found ways to contribute economically, some emerging as shopkeepers, pub landladies, or cloth sellers in larger settlements, while others opted to serve in wealthier households. A woman's role was typically confined to her home, her hands busy with cleaning and caring for her family, her spirit undeterred by the taxing reality of her existence. So, the life of a medieval peasant was one defined by hardship and struggle, with little respite or escape. The church, the law, and even their own homes constantly reminded them of their position in society. We can only imagine the strength and resilience it took for them to endure, generation after generation. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, let us know in the comments if you want to see more videos on similar topics. Goodbye until next time.